This is Toledo's Symphony Lab, a behind-the-scenes look at the world of classical music from WGTE Public Media and your Toledo Symphony. I'm Brad Cresswell. Joining me are the Toledo Symphony's president and CEO Zach Vassar, principal second violin and artistic administrator Merwin Sue, and we have two special guests in the studio with us today, TSO horn player Emily Price-Dietz and WGTE TV producer Courtney Clark. Welcome to our return panelists. Welcome to the two of you. Well, we're having a program today that is inspired by a concert that's happening this Saturday at the Stranahan Theater. It's at 8 o'clock p.m., and this is Pixar in concert. We all know what Pixar is, right? Yeah, the animation studio. So we're having a little Pixarpalooza today to sort of get geared up for this program. Before we do that, maybe Zach or Merwin, you want to take the lead and just tell us what's happening in this concert.
So this is yet another of these great movie play-along projects. So, I think we've gotten really excited about these the last couple of years. It started all the way back with, I think, Wizard of Oz, 5 or 6 years ago, Merwin?
Yeah, I would say at least 6.
There was Wizard of Oz, then there was, after that, was it Singing in the Rain?
Singing in the Rain.
And then we did the...
West Side Story, I know.
West Side Story, and then...
Nightmare Before
Christmas was before that, and then...
Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Now, has everybody here seen a Pixar movie?
Absolutely.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Can you name your favorite of the Pixar films that you've seen? Let's just go around the panel. Hot take, Merwin, what's your favorite?
My favorite is Up, definitely.
What do you say, Emily?
I would say the Toy Story movies.
Yeah?
Yeah.
If you had to pick one of those, which would it be?
Oh, probably the first one.
Yeah. Okay, Zach.
I'd say Ratatouille.
Ratatouille. I like the way that you say it, Ratatouille. Yeah. Good.
It was one of those movies that just made me so hungry by the time I was out of there.
Courtney, how about you?
I'm going to go with Inside Out.
Inside Out, yeah. Now,
that's a top 3 for me. I love that one.
Now, all of these films are going to be excerpted in the program that's happening on Saturday. I've got a whole list here, but Merwin, you added a couple to them. We're also going to see The Incredibles and Cars and Finding Nemo and WALL-E, A Bug's Life, Monsters, Inc. Are there any others besides the ones that we mentioned?
Well, yes, it's been updated to include Coco, and I don't think Toy Story 4 makes it in, but Toy Story 3 definitely does. I think both The Incredibles and Incredibles 2 have scenes in there. So
This is a different project, though. Typically, we take a movie from the beginning to the end. This is the first time we've done one of these sort of greatest hits.
Yeah.
So anybody who's seen a Pixar movie knows that they balance the kind of what's good for the kids, what's good for the parents. There's a really I think a great talent in the writing. It's comedic for everybody. And the music has always been really, really solid. So I think that this is a great opportunity just to watch great moments from these movies and enjoy them all over.
So these are clips, we should make clear. We're not asking people to sit through all of these movies.
This is a 14-hour concert. It's unbelievably difficult.
Yeah.
No overtime. It's very interesting.
Well, you remember our Toledo SymphonyLAB Youth Advisory Council from a couple of podcasts ago when they talked about what's going to happen over the next 75 years, predicting the future. Was a lot of fun. I also talked to them about Pixar and asked them some of the questions I've asked you, what movies they've seen, what are their favorites, et cetera, et cetera. This one a little bit shorter than the last feature, but let's spend a couple of minutes and listen to what they had to say. Hey guys, how many of you have seen a Pixar movie? Raise your hand.
Me. Moby or I have.
Can you each tell me one Pixar movie you've seen? Kai, let's start with
What?
you. Tell me one Pixar movie you've seen.
The Incredibles 1 and 2.
Good. Mira, what's your favorite Pixar movie?
Incredibles.
The Incredibles.
Oh.
Gracie, what about you? What's your favorite Pixar movie?
Rapunzel.
Black Panther? Clean out my ears.
That's not a Pixar movie.
I know, it's Marvel Universe. Your dad is in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel about that? Your dad is almost an Avenger. He's like the violin Avenger.
Yeah, he says he is.
Oh.
He is.
Excellent.
Rapunzel.
So Gracie, you like Rapunzel, right?
Rapunzel.
Rapunzel. And Brenda? What's your favorite Pixar movie that you've seen? Did you like The Incredibles?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you like Up?
Oh yeah, I love Up. It's my
Up
favorite.
is a good one. Yeah. Let's talk about the music in The Incredibles. Did you like the music in that movie?
Yes. Yeah, but I don't remember it.
How did it make you feel to watch that movie and listen to the music?
Happy.
Made you happy? Yeah. Did you get happy listening to the music, Kai?
Yes.
What do you think, Mary?
Yes.
Do you remember? Do you like the music in that movie?
I like that music a lot. I just don't want to sing it.
Oh, you don't want to sing it? Well, we won't make you sing The Incredibles music.
I can't. I don't remember it. I'm busted. Hey! Hey! Meeny, lemon squeezy. Meeny, lemon squeezy.
That's my new nickname. Well, you know the Symphony's doing a concert of music from Pixar movies, right?
Oh, yeah. I'm going.
Are you guys going to dress up as characters from your favorite Pixar movies when you go?
Do you know what? I want.
Hang on.
In the second one, Incredibles, I kind of got scared. In the second Incredibles.
You got scared in the
First I
second
got
one?
scared.
What part scared you, Mira?
The creepy eye thing. No.
The creepy eye thing? Was there creepy eyes?
Yeah.
Oh, the goggles?
No.
That would be scary.
Yeah, they are scary. Because they were bad.
Yeah.
They got hypnotized, but it's awesome!
Got a little out of control at the end.
Everybody loves their kids.
Wait. Okay.
Okay, see you everybody. I'm gonna go get some coffee.
Oh my gosh.
I just want to stop now.
Wow.
Such shrinking violets.
You could tell they were getting a little tired at the end when we got all their sillies out.
Those are our kids. Not on coffee.
Well, I should mention those were that was Merwin's son Kai, he's 7 years old. That was Felicia's daughter Mira, she's 5 years old. Zach's daughter Gracie, 4.5, and my daughter Brenda, 8 years old. Our Toledo SymphonyLAB Youth Advisory Council. Emily, if I'd have known, that you were going to be here, I would have invited your kids.
That's
maybe
okay.
they can.
I can.
They can join us at a later date. Yeah.
We would love to.
Well, that was kind of fun, just to get, a little bit of the kids' perspective. Emily, talk a little bit about your experience with Pixar, because, you have young children. Obviously, you've seen some of these movies.
Yeah. I mean, some of them, like the Cars movies, became a fixture in our house for a couple of years when my son was little. I mean, you couldn't walk through the grocery store without, so many Cars products. And he wanted them all, and it was a constant struggle. Yeah. And the movie we just had on all the time when we did long drives. He'd watch portions of it. I could quote, bits of it. Now I probably can't because it's been a few years. So it was just on all the time. And but the first ones I saw before I had kids, I mean, when did Pixar start making movies?
Mid-90s,
yeah. So I remember seeing Toy Story back in the day.
Yeah. We don't want to date you, as somebody who only takes their kids to see the movies. Courtney, I know you're of a generation that these movies came out when you were about the age of some of our kids. I mean, what was your experience?
Well, I remember going and seeing Toy Story in theaters as a young kid. And I remember going home and we'd play experiments to see if our toys would come to life. We would set up tape recorders and come back and check and see if there was noise from our toys moving around.
Wow, you were into production all the way back then.
Yeah.
Little tape cassette recorders, yeah.
It's a little creepy, though.
Yeah, what would you have done if you saw them come to life?
I don't know. Yeah. We didn't think that far ahead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we were just curious. But, I remember, going and seeing, Monsters, Inc. and Finding Nemo, and I'm always a very emotional person whenever I'm watching movies of any kind. So there's, like, if it's Pixar, there's a 95% chance that I've cried watching the movie. Yeah. So Finding Nemo, Monsters, Inc., I remember seeing those as kids and just, like, sobbing in the theater because it's just, like, the kind of kid that I was and adult that I am.
And the kind of movies they are.
Yeah. Well, and also very importantly, how the music is used in those movies. Courtney, you talk about your experiment when you were young. I have an experiment that I want to play with all of us here, which is based on a YouTube video called How Pixar Uses Music to Make You Cry. Have you seen this video? I know the Symphony actually shared this video, and that's where I stole it from, and the idea for today. Talking about how Pixar uses music in the films, underscoring, let's say, a sad scene, right? The idea being that you don't use overtly sad music. You use music that either is reminiscent of a happier tune earlier on, or you use something that contrasts in some way what's actually happening on the screen that makes it more effective, right? So I have an experiment I want to play here. I found a William Butler Yeats poem called When You Are Old. I don't know if you've heard this poem before, but I have a nice little public domain recording here of somebody reading it, doing a much better job than I ever could. I just want to listen to the first part of this.
When you are old and grey and full of sleep, and nodding by the fire, take down this book and slowly read and dream of the soft look your eyes had once, and of their shadows deep. How many loved your moments of glad grace, and loved your beauty with love false or true, but one man loved the pilgrim soul in you, and loved the sorrows of your changing face. And bending down beside the glowing bars, murmur a little sadly how love fled and paced among the mountains overhead, and hid his face among a crowd of stars.
So it's kind of a sad poem, right? I thought it would be interesting to put two different music beds behind it and see which one is more effective, okay? So one of these I'm calling sad, and the other one is a little bit more hopeful. So let's hear the sad one first and add the poem to it.
When you are old and grey and full of sleep, and nodding by the fire, take down this book and slowly read and dream of the soft look your eyes had once, and of their shadows deep. How many loved your moments of glad grace, and loved your beauty with love false or true, but one man loved the pilgrim soul in you, and loved the sorrows of your changing face. And bending down beside the glowing bars, murmur a little sadly how love fled and paced among the mountains overhead, and hid his face among a crowd of stars.
So that one is pretty effective, I would say. It's pretty effective. You want to say something before we hear the other one? No?
It's absolutely not a Pixar strategy, though. It made me think of almost like a James Horner soundtrack a little bit.
Yeah, well, this particular music, I'm kind of digressing from the whole Pixar.
No, but I think it speaks to just how consciously and strategically they're using the music.
Yeah. Let's try it with the other soundtrack. This one is the one that's a little bit more hopeful.
When you are old and grey and full of sleep, and nodding by the fire, take down this book and slowly read and dream of the soft look your eyes had once, and of their shadows deep. How many loved your moments of glad grace, and loved your beauty with love false or true, but one man loved the pilgrim soul in you, and loved the sorrows of your changing face. And bending down beside the glowing bars, murmur a little sadly how love fled and paced among the mountains overhead, and hid his face among a crowd of stars.
Can you hear a difference between the two? I mean, the poem is exactly the same,
It's
but
almost
the music
like he was
changes
speaking faster in the second one. I know
Yeah.
it's not true, but it just felt that way because the
that
music
same
has
feeling.
a faster tempo.
Yeah.
There's one line in there that I thought was quite different based on the two beds. It was that how many loved your moments of glad grace.
Mm-hmm.
And glad grace is a good thing. I mean, it's not a depressing thought anyway. But in the first bed, that's when it almost had like a Moonlight Sonata rolling chord
Oh, yeah.
effect started right then, and it felt very melancholy. And glad grace seemed to be something that had slipped away. And in the second version, there were brighter chords happening, and it sounded like glad grace was something to be celebrated.
Yeah. Well, it just shows you how music can affect the spoken word or what's going on, particularly in a video scene.
Mm-hmm.
You have anything you want to add about that, Merwin?
Well, I was thinking how in the first presentation, it felt like if you were closing your eyes and you were envisioning it, it felt like you were seeing it in the present day. The
Yeah.
person who was, it's when you are old. And then the second one was kind of the entire poem is about memory.
Right.
And the second presentation lived in the memory. So
Yeah.
it was in the past.
Which of those two do you think was more akin to the real feeling of the poem? I mean, obviously it can be taken in different ways, looking to the past or looking to the future. I mean, which of the two do you think resonates more?
I'm going to go with the second one.
Yeah.
Because, the first one just felt very... the first one felt, and kind of what Merwin was saying, I'm very visual too, so if I close my eyes and think about what it looks like to me, the first one is so, melancholy and depressing and black and white and washed out, and the second one feels like this very colorful, uplifting kind of montage, like flashback, happy memory, and it's bittersweet. Because the actual poem, you're still talking about end of life. There's still sad things in this poem, but it's not all bad.
Wow. Courtney, you get a cheer of applause. In fact, I'm going to bring in our Ask the Expert music here because although I'm playing the music after she's already offered her expert opinion.
It's actually
Still
quite...
counts.
But it is
appropriate,
quite
though.
funny because, Courtney's always present at our concerts, and she lends such a huge part of the experience to almost all of our concerts, except for this one. And yet,
ironic.
this is the one we choose to bring her in on to Ask the Expert. It's really funny.
But have we said, I don't remember, if we introduced you as the producer of TSO and HD?
No, we just assume that everybody knows
Okay.
what we know.
Because I know, Courtney, you joined us and Bob Bell for the program we did about TSO and HD. But, this is a curious opportunity since you're the one who puts pictures to symphony music in your videography, that we're now talking about pairing music performed to a movie. So
Yeah.
when you're hearing a piece, I mean, does it... I know that you and Bob spend so much time on call shots and what
Right.
to look at, but... I mean, do you have a sense of how to handle the production differently if it's maybe an up-tempo overture versus a tragic tone poem?
Yeah, I do. I wouldn't say that I can put it into actual musical terms because I don't know them. But, Bob is great at identifying the actual what's going on in the music. And then what I do is very much, I literally just close my eyes and listen to it with him, and I can see if the camera feels like it should be getting bigger. Should it be moving quickly? Should it be moving slowly? Should it be panning? Should it be, just a static shot? Should we be seeing fingers or should we be seeing face? Where's the emotion happening visually?
Wow.
I want to go back and talk just briefly about this particular concert because it's a great concert, obviously, for parents to bring their kids, maybe even to introduce them to the wonderful wide world of live symphonic music. I was thinking about, the differences between this experience and something like Disney on Ice, for example. With Disney on Ice, you get all of this canned music and canned dialogue. Obviously, the visual is what everybody is engaged with, seeing, people doing their ice-capades in Disney uniforms and Disney character outfits. But This is a different experience because it's taking something they already know. It's the film itself with the appropriate music, but done in a symphonic fashion. When I think back to the Star Wars concert that you all did, that was a huge success, and it was so interesting and fun to hear the orchestra playing. And what I found was extremely gratifying was that the audience was reacting not so much to the pictures on the screen, but to the symphony itself. And all the applause came after a big symphonic moment, and people were really engaged with their ears, even though it was a movie that, was full of excitement that everybody loves. So again, this is a replication of sorts of that sort of experience, but I think geared towards a younger crowd, obviously. Maybe you can talk a little bit about that experience.
Well, I think I'm going to piggyback a little bit off one of Courtney's favorite Pixar movies, Inside Out. We actually chose at one point to do a young people's concert that had that movie a little bit as a touchstone because, and I'm not sure how many people have seen this particular movie, but it's a really wonderful thing to talk about music with because you take the primal emotions, and in that Pixar movie, they personify the primal emotions. So happiness has a character, and disgust has a character, and anger has a character, and fear and sadness. And they thought a lot about how do you reflect emotions in colors or in facial expressions or in gestures. And we decided to apply that to a young people's concert. How do you reflect those primal emotions in music? And I think that when you see this, it's almost this kind of a masterclass in how do you take something emotional that you see and reflect it in music, and then you just hear just how powerfully a symphonic orchestra can do that.
Yeah. Anybody else want to weigh in on this experience?
I would say it's emotion, and it's also style. Each of these movies has a really different setting and artistic style. And the music, people, when they're contrasted next to each other, I think people really see that. I mean, the sound world, the score of Toy Story, I mean, gosh, it really owes a lot, to Aaron Copland.
Yeah. And
then right next to that will be something that sounds like 50s big band. And so the from The Incredibles. And so each piece kind of sets the stage in this way that maybe non-musicians wouldn't think about while they're watching the movie as much as we would. But I think if they hear the things right next to each other, they'll get a sense for just how much it creates the world of the film.
Well, the sound world of all those films is so rich and so full of different styles, as you say. In some ways, it goes far above and beyond what you get from your typical, very popular action movie.
For sure.
Score is written for that sort of thing. Yeah, the
some of those you could drop a different score into a different movie and you'd hardly tell the difference. But you couldn't swap out.
Like for WALL-E, right? I think that was almost 25 minutes without dialogue, and it was almost all music and silence. And the silence was incredibly important in WALL-E as well. Yeah. But just how well that particular world was set up.
Yeah. Well, I do have a quiz. This is our Pixar quiz. Bring on the quiz music.
We are ready.
Okay. This is the Pixar movie quiz. I think we can probably zip right through this thing. We'll see. Number 1, in Toy Story 1, who says to infinity and beyond? Is it Buzz? Is it Buzz and Woody? Is it Buzz, Woody, and Sid? A, B, or C?
A.
B.
Should we say it in unison? C.
Yeah. First Toy Story movie.
Who is Sid?
Buzz, Woody, and
The
Sid.
kid.
Sid is a kid who
next door.
yeah.
Okay.
He terrorizes and he grabs Buzz Lightyear and says to infinity and beyond as he waves him around. Okay, number 2. What was the first Pixar film to be released? Was it A Bug's Life? Was it Toy Story 1? Or was it Monsters, Inc.?
I'd say it's Toy Story.
I think
Toy
it's Bug's
Story.
Life. Oh, it's Toy Story?
Toy Story 1.
Oh, for 2.
I thought that was applause for you.
Oh, Zach got one. Number 3. Who is the main villain in the first The Incredibles film? The first one. Is it Screenslaver? Is it Syndrome? Or is it the Underminer?
Syndrome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, judging from what Kai was saying about The Incredibles, I imagine you've seen them a few times.
A few
Marwan.
times.
Yeah. Okay, so that
Oh,
one goes
The
to
Underminer is a great name.
Marwan. Yeah, totally. Number 4, what was Nemo's first appearance in a Pixar film? Was it A, on the cover of a magazine in The Incredibles? Was it B, a stuffed toy in Monsters, Inc.? Or was it C, in a dentist's fish tank in Cars? Which one of those three, A, B, or C?
I think maybe the fish tank? Oh,
Monsters, Inc.
Yeah,
Is it a stuffed animal? Is that what it was?
a stuffed toy in Monsters, Inc.
Wow.
Yeah,
this is why we bring experts on.
exactly. Number 5, 2 true, 1 false. This category is animators for the film Ratatouille. Which one of these is false? Number 1, they kept pet rats at the studio. Number 2, they studied videos of Julia Child. Or number 3, they inserted a cameo of Doug the dog from Up in the film. Which one of those is false? A, B, or C?
I would have said Doug the dog.
Yeah, I was
I
going to
could
say
see.
the third one.
Oh, well, we're
No.
all wrong.
Well,
the
they
Julia
were.
Child.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah. They did keep pet rats at the studio so they could
Makes
study
sense.
how they moved, and they inserted a cameo of Doug the dog. They were also working on the film Up at the time. It was not yet released. There's a scene where the rat, I forget his name, Ratatouille, you know.
Remy.
Remy, that's right. Where he came up, again, ask the expert. He came up from the sewers, and then there's a dog that barks at him. The shadow of the dog is actually Doug the dog from Up. Okay. Number 6, what was the original name of the Pixar film Cars? Was it Route 66? Was it Pacific Coast? Or was it Mother Road? A, B, or C?
Ooh, A or C?
Well, you gotta pick
I
one.
know.
50-50.
C.
Unless they're both wrong. That one's wrong.
A.
You got Route 66 or Pacific Coast? Somebody said it.
I don't know.
A.
Route 66. Number 7, what was the first Pixar movie to feature outtakes during the credits? Was it A Bug's Life? Was it Toy Story 1? Or was it The Incredibles 1?
I'd say Toy
Bug's
Story.
I
Life.
think it's Toy Story.
Huh? Not the first Toy Story. They
Bug's
didn't have
Life.
A Bug's
Yeah.
Life.
Wow.
Good
Because
one.
what's her name from Seinfeld? She couldn't keep it together.
I hate when
Julia
that
Louis
happens.
Dreyfus.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's who they did the cameos in.
Yeah. Here's your bonus question. The letter number combination A113 is hidden in every Pixar movie. What does it refer to? Was it A, the Pixar project's code name while it was still under development? Is it B, the classroom number where animation artists studied in school? Or C, the parking space of Pixar co-founder Steve Jobs? A113. Which one of those three did it
I
stand
kind of like
for?
the parking spot. I
Nope.
kind of like the code name. I kind of like the classroom.
Yeah. It's a classroom where the animators, character animation.
You can
where
go
they
back and
study.
edit that, so it sounds like I got it right the first time, right?
No, we don't do that. There's no editing in this show. Okay, well, I mean, did we have a winner? Because that was a
Oh, I
pretty
think Courtney
widespread.
was the winner.
Courtney,
Yeah?
I think.
Courtney.
So.
Courtney.
Courtney's the expert.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're just about out of time. Is there anything that anybody else wants to add about the concert that's happening this weekend?
We talked about Up, and there's that moment at the beginning of Up where you talked, Merwin, about moments from WALL-E that had no dialogue.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing Up at the drive-in theater. My wife and I had gone for the second movie, but we watched Up, not knowing what we were in for. And sitting there with our popcorn and watching this movie, I just remember just sobbing and looking at the car next to us, and they were wiping their eyes too. And what an interesting way to begin a movie with something so tender, and that the music was so perfect for. And I don't know if that's on the set list for this weekend, but I really hope it is.
Yeah, I don't know if that particular piece is, but that's
definitely is, yeah.
That's something that comes back later in the movie too, and that's an example again of, like, in the beginning, there's this music that's sort of happy, talking about the relationship, and then later it comes back in a different way, but it's the same music, right? So again, that's the kind of leitmotif that is taken in a different direction, very effectively.
It's incredibly fun to play this music. I think it's as virtuosic a score as any movie score that we've played. And it's so exciting to play, and I'm not sure if Emily, if you feel the same way, but it's something that has this really interesting nostalgia trip for me, because I think a lot of times when we're performing a Pops concert, you're performing to an audience who wants to share to recreate new memories, but also to kind of relive their old memories. And to be able to do that with this set of scores is exactly, why I think many of our audience wants to go to Pops concerts.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be really fun. I'm looking forward to it.
And definitely parents, if you enjoy the symphony, this is the one to bring your kids to. Yeah.
Can I just ask, how do you guys prepare differently for the fact that this is a movie show versus another Pops performance or versus a Masterworks performance?
I definitely look at my music thinking like, okay, well, this could end up being slow or really fast. I have to know it really well because the transitions are going to be really quick. I don't know. How about you?
I think that it's interesting, especially for Pixar. You can kind of find, oh, well, this is going to be the definitive version. You're like, oh, it's going to have to go that fast. Whoa.
Because you can watch the movie to catch the tempo.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think that a lot of times you're looking for that scene, and then you're kind of, and I think it's actually, for me, really, really important to watch the movies, not for musical preparation, but to allow myself to not look at the screen when I'm performing, because otherwise I'll be like desperately wanting.
That's the biggest piece of preparation.
Can you see the screen where you are? Or you have to like turn around and look.
It depends a little bit on the setup, whether they're rear projection or front projection, and I think
he just moves his stand.
No, this is going to be at the Stranahan. I know Star Wars was at the Huntington Theater, which probably is a different setup from what you have going at the Stranahan.
Yeah,
but. Yeah, I never thought of that before. You'd be tempted to look at the movie screen. I'd be spending the whole time looking at the screen.
At your peril.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
you will miss something.
This is why I'm not, playing in a symphony.
I'd also say that it seems to me, as the non-musician here, that it would be the occasion where the conductor would matter less, because you're tied into a tempo to line up with the movie, right? But I would imagine it also is a point where the conductor matters more, because you have to stay exactly to the movie. I mean, if you let any amount of subjectivity in, you can't catch up.
Yeah.
I mean, is that more terrifying? Is that less terrifying? Is it comforting?
I think in a weird way, in a Masterworks concert, a conductor is more. There's like this constant shaping, and I think in a movie concert, in a way, it's all the conductor almost needs to be a bit further ahead of the score. It's not in the moment. It's look out for this. This is coming. I'm going to set this up. So in a way, like, because a lot of times there's like some sort of regular groove that keeps you going for the main body of what you're doing. It's the transition that's most important, and that's where you need the conductor. So it's almost like air traffic control or something.
Yeah. I just remember Alain Trudel saying that West Side Story was more difficult. He said, "Give me Wagner, give me Bruckner, give me Mahler. They are easier than that." I mean, he was so amazed at how complicated it was to line up.
Yeah, we've already established that Emily doesn't have to practice as much for the Wagner and all the other pieces. Just kidding.
No.
Just kidding.
Be on my stand.
Yeah. So, Courtney, you're a resident expert. You want to throw in one last little nugget of wisdom before we break?
I guess I would just add that, so I actually was around at the rehearsals for the Star Wars concert, and I've been around for a lot of the Masterworks, all of the Young Peoples. I've been around at a couple Pops, and I remember walking past, I was walking down the hallway when the Star Wars rehearsal started up, and I heard that first big opening
fanfare,
brass, and I got kind of emotional. honestly, because I remember watching Star Wars as a kid with my dad. Like that was his movie as a kid. So then that was like.
But let's clarify this: that was not in the 1970s. You saw it like.
I saw. Well, it was his movie when he was a kid, right? Like he was a kid and teenager, and then when I was a kid, he made me watch the movies, and so I grew up with them. And I remember hearing it, and it was just, I can't describe it another way. It was just very emotional to hear it live, and I wasn't even watching the movie. I was walking down the hallway in the opposite direction. I wasn't even getting the full effect of it. So I would say that if anybody was on the fence about going to see the Pixar concert, I mean, it's just a very different experience to hear it live.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure some of those sounds from Cars will make me nostalgic for when my boy was 3. I'm sure it'll take me. I mean, that's what music does,
Takes you back.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The concert is happening this weekend, Saturday, October 5th at 8 o'clock p.m. at the Stranahan Theater, Pixar in Concert. More information at ToledoSymphony.com or at 419-246-8000. This program is a production of WGTE Public Media and is generously underwritten by the Rita Barber Kern Foundation in collaboration with our sponsor, the Toledo Symphony. You can download episodes of our program as a podcast by going to our website at wgte.org/lab. You can also subscribe to us through your podcast app of choice, including both Apple and Google Podcasts. And don't forget, you can check out all the upcoming events at the Symphony in their new season. Visit their website at ToledoSymphony.com and their various social media outlets on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. My thanks to Zach Vassar, Merwin Sue, Emily Price-Dietz, and Courtney Clark. I'm Brad Cresswell. You've been listening to Toledo Symphony Lab from FM 91.